All right. Hello and welcome to Variant Roles as we kick off our brand new large community streaming collaborative project. Our second one here on the channel after Dungeon of the Mad Mage, after Dragon Heist. And so this is the very first in level 3. I am your Dungeon Master, Dan Gaston, at MadSciDM on Twitter. And I've got a slew of new people here on Variant Roles, mostly first-time players, first-time streamers with us here. So I am going to go and let them introduce themselves. And I will start with our returning player who's played here a couple of times before, Mackenzie. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm Mackenzie. I also go by Mac, and I'm super excited. This is my first D&D stream.
Excellent. And we will just continue around in my sort of clockwise rotation with Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I play Kelvron, a human Hexblade Warlock, and I'm very excited to be here. This is my very first streamed game, so
Well, we are counting ourselves lucky to be the first place that you have streamed. I know we've sort of followed each other on Twitter for a while, and it's always been good interaction, so I am happy to have you here. All right, continuing around in my upper right, we have Nick. Nick, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. So I'm Nick, active Nick on Twitter. Longtime D&D player from the 80s and the 90s. Took a 17-year break, and now just came back a couple months ago. This is also my first time streaming, so thank you very much for having me. I am playing Mirage, the Tabaxi Rogue, and let's have some fun tonight.
Excellent. That is fantastic. And last but not least, in my lower right, we have Andy. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Glad to be here. I'm Andy. I'm playing Soot, the Dwarven Cleric, this evening. I do a little bit of streaming on a couple of different channels, and really glad to have the opportunity to play here.
Excellent. Well, we are happy to have you as well. All right, so let's talk a little. Let's give a little sense of who your characters are. In the context of what is happening. So, Undermountain has been sealed. For those who watched our Dragon Heist stream, adventurers from all over the Sword Coast had been abducted by the Xanathar and the Xanathar's Guild with the help of their Mind Flayer allies in Undermountain, who were running an experiment, putting people in weird tanks and running essentially a simulated version of Waterdeep called Alterdeep, as the Xanathar was looking for Lord Dagalt Neverember's hoard of embezzled gold. But little did he know that Hallister hijacked that experiment, found the gold first, and opened up a portal, dropping all 500,000 gold coins on the city of Skullport, just as the kidnapped adventurers were being rescued by their friends and compatriots also from all over the Sword Coast, which basically kicked Skullport. Well, it's basically like kicking the beehive, and then Hallister closed all the doors. So all of the ways in and out of Skullport and Undermountain have been sealed, with dozens of trapped adventurers, all the ne'er-do-wells of Skullport, and all of its denizens. So, some adventurers are seeking their way upwards from Skullport to go through levels 3, 2, and 1 of Undermountain to try and reopen the connection to the Yawning Portal. That is essentially what your group is trying to do, as they are one of the first to set out from Skullport to Dungeon Level 3, the Sargauth Lair, which is known for the river, the Sargauth River, that courses through it. There is also the ruins of an old ancient town here, even older than Skullport. So that's about all you have for information. We'll assume your characters probably came in through the sea caves directly to Skullport, as opposed to coming down originally from the Yawning Portal, or perhaps they were abductees, or they were people that were rescuing them, or otherwise in Skullport. So let's find out a little bit about each of our characters, and we'll circle back around to Mac.
Hi. So I will be playing the Drow bod Faithress today. She is College of Whispers, and she's a bit of an expatriate from the Drow community, but she doesn't like saying that. She likes keeping things very secretive, and she doesn't like telling people why she's there, and that she might have been exiled. But keep it on the down low.
Excellent. I like it. That always sounds interesting. Drows are always fun characters to play.
It's my first time playing a Drow. I'm so excited. And my first time playing a Bard.
Excellent. Well, it should be fun. Bards are one of my favorites. All right, let's go. We'll mix up the order a little bit. Let's cut across to my upper right as we go kitty corner with Nick. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about Mirage, the Tabaxi Rogue?
So, Mirage, actually, my full name is Edge of the Almirage, but my friends call me Mirage. And Mirage, I do not like the term rogue. I like to wander around the world, and unfortunately, sometimes things come into my possession. People think that I took the things when they arrived there. It's very unfortunate circumstances. And I have a dark secret, and my dark secret, you do not know what it is. And Mirage is here to explore, and he got stuck in here, and he found some kindred spirits in here. And while I'm here, maybe I can find some interesting trinkets along the way. But I do have this evil that I'm looking for.
Excellent. All right, Andy, tell us a little bit more about Soot.
Soot is a very stern, no-nonsense dwarven smith. He's been attached to a group of outriders for the last several decades, taking care of the surface interests of the dwarves, and was on a mission to Waterdeep to look at a new ore supplier. And the next thing he knew, he woke up in Skullport and is making a beeline for the closest exit.
Excellent. Yeah, Skullport's not a great place to be. It's a little bit of a hellstorm at the moment. It's basically a full-out war going on in Skullport. Excellent. All right, and Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Kel?
Oh, Kel is here just to see what he can see and do a little exploring, maybe pick up a few things here and there. He likes to get his hands dirty, and if he happens to run into a few things that need killing, well, he's not exactly bothered by that. His boss lady likes it when things go away. So he's following the path and ready to go wherever they go.
Excellent. So, you've made your way here from Skullport, and you find yourself in a cavern. There is a heavy webbing covering some of the walls. There's stalactites and stalagmites in this cavern. But the most immediate thing you see is a desiccated corpse in the middle of the cavern, and the skin on its neck is peeled back as if something had crawled or burst its way out of this poor fellow adventurer's neck. There's a backpack laying nearby. It's got sort of leather armor. There's a short sword laying next to him. Appears to be human from what you can tell, although given his state of desiccation, it's not immediately clear. And so this has arrested your attention in this room. And actually, the first thing I am going to need you all to do is roll initiative.
Oh, we're off to a strong start.
I don't like that. Okay, hold on. I have no clue what any of my bonuses are. Initiative.
Middle of your sheet, right under your proficiency
Oh,
bonus.
there it is. Yep. Okay, that's not bad.
All right. So let's start with Kel.
Got 16.
16. Excellent. Okay. And Mirage?
15.
15. Excellent. Filling in the gaps. And Faithress.
13.
13. Excellent. And Soot.
Thanks to advantage on initiative rolls, a nat 20 for a 21.
21. All right. So. All right. So the second thing I need is for everyone to make a perception check.
Yeah. 15.
15. Okay. Soot.
22.
22. Kel.
10.
Okay. And Faithress?
14.
14. Okay. So, Soot, you are the only one not surprised. And you get to go first. As you just get out of the corner of your eye, you see something shimmer into existence as a set of large blue and white spiders emerge out of seemingly thin air into the room with you and are advancing on you.
I scream, pull my warhammer, and head to meet him.
All right. And they're close enough that you can definitely charge in and act.
Okay. If it's relevant, I also want to cover my magic weapon if my party is within 30 feet and none of us can be surprised.
Okay. Excellent. Yes, I had forgotten about that, and it is relevant, so actually none of you are surprised.
Awesome.
Thank you for the reminder.
Thank goodness.
Yay!
Right.
Yeah, so basically as the spiders like emerge out of nothingness, the Warhammer basically sends an ear-piercing alarm out.
I had this very strange feeling, small one. Just as the spiders emerged, your weapon spoke to me and told me, danger.
Yeah, get used to it. Does that a lot. And rolled a 25 on my attack roll.
That absolutely hits with your Warhammer as it crashes into the spider's skull.
For 5 points of damage.
Okay. All right, so we'll say, sort of simplicity, you take the one kind of in the middle, you run in, the Warhammer crashes into the spider, and it is startled itself as it totally thought it had the drop on all of you. You can see all of its eyes sort of going around as it starts looking around itself almost in a panic. And that brings us to Kel.
All right. Kel is going to follow suit. He's going to yank out his warhammer and follow into battle. But even on his way in, he's not going to waste time, and he's going to fire off a pair of eldritch blasts to hit the first one he sees.
All right.
And that'll be a 21 to hit the first time.
Absolutely.
7 points of force damage.
7. Okay, great.
And a 16 to hit the second time.
That hits as well.
And 6 points of damage.
And 6. All right. So this one's one of the ones, we'll say the one on sort of the left flank as you're running in. The Eldritch Blasts crackle out, catch it in the thorax, and you can hear the sound of its chitinous hide sort of cracking under the pressure. All right. Do you have anything else?
Now I will move in to stand beside my fellow warrior and get ready to break some heads.
All right, so the cleric and the warlock sort of lock up side by side, forming a skirmish line. Mirage.
Okay, are the two spiders like next to each other?
There's 3, and they're sort of like in a loose grouping. Yeah, they're like in a loose grouping, sort of in the general vicinity of one another.
But two, if I hit one, the other one would be around like 5 feet from it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, if I don't have enough distance, I'll use my feline agility for this, but I'm going to run and kind of go behind. Like I'll use one of the stalagmites to go around and flank them from behind.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go and attack. So is it the same one that's been hit so far?
Two of them, I spread the damage out among two of them.
Okay.
But now Kel and Soot are sort of on the first one that Soot hit. Kel's kind of in between the two.
Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do is while I'm running, I'm pulling out both my short sword and my dagger, and then I'm going to take one slash at the first one with my short sword, which has a green flame blade.
Okay.
And then, which I assume then would be a sneak attack.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then, let's do that first.
Okay.
So that's a 25 to hit.
Absolutely.
So sneak attack damage. That's with the short sword. That's a really crappy roll. 4d6, and I rolled 6. 1, 1, 2, 2. So not off to a great start. So 6 plus 5. Yeah, so 11 piercing damage plus another 2 fire damage.
Okay.
And the second spider automatically gets another 5 points of fire damage from the green flame blade that jumps on it.
Okay, yes.
And then with my bonus action, I will use my dagger to then slash at the second one.
Perfect. All right.
And let's see. So that's a 24 to hit.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
This one is not going to be that impressive. What is it? I rolled a 1. Wow. So that's 6 piercing damage against the second one on top of the fire it received.
Okay, not bad, not bad. So yes, you basically do this like flanking run around. You know, I can picture Mirage sort of sliding by the first one, chopping into it, the flame arcing out, and then stabbing the other one in the thorax. And both of them squeal in pain. And then, you know, the third one is sort of chittering at both of them off on the flank a little bit. And that brings us to Faithress.
I'm usually more effective at this. I got distracted by the hammer.
Sorry, bards have so much. I've been looking over it for the past 3 turns, and I'm still like, I don't know what to do. Okay, quick question. How close are everyone pretty much grouped really close together?
Everyone's close enough that we can assume pretty much anything you want to do in terms of movement and action you can do.
I just have all my spells are area of effect, so I'm like, I'm just gonna stab it with my rapier.
They're fairly large, so depending on the area, you could maybe get 2 of them without getting any of your allies, because one of them hasn't been engaged yet by anybody.
Oh, by the way, Dan, I made a mistake. My second attack with the dagger, I'm not supposed to add a damage modifier, so that was.
Right. Okay.
That was 1 instead of 5.
Okay, no problem.
Let me see. I don't remember what any of these do. What's 10-foot radius? Is that something I can do without catching anyone, or no?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, 10-foot radius. If you positioned it just right, I would say you could get 2 of them.
All right, then I will cast a 2nd level shatter.
Okay, perfect.
I'm trying to. I never used. Hold on. Okay, wait. Cast. Yes. Okay. And that knocked off one of my spell slots. Okay, so that's 3d8 thunder damage.
All right. I think they get a con save.
Con save, I think.
And no matter what your spell save DC is, there's no way they're making it with me rolling a 1 and a 4. So
cool.
So they both fail.
All right. So 3d8. Let's hope I roll okay. It's not great. This is no. That's an 8.
All right.
8 thunder damage each, and then as a bonus action, I'm going to turn to Soot and say, "Darling, that warhammer is lovely. Keep doing it." And I'm going to give him inspiration.
Excellent.
All right.
So you feel that little surge of bardic inspiration. Perfect. Yeah, so this like concussive force cracks out between the one that hadn't been injured yet and the one in the middle. The one in the middle is looking extremely hurt. One of its limbs got totally blown off when the shatter went through, and the other one is mildly damaged. And it is now their turn. All right, so the one on the flank that the cleric and warlock are on is going to make a bite attack on, I'm just going to roll a d6 to randomly. Okay, that is on Kel. And that is going to be a 12 to hit. Okay, so that is definitely going to miss. And then the one in the middle is going to sort of move over and make a similar bite attack on Soot. And that's a nat 1, so it totally gets its own mandibles clacked together and can't seem to do anything. And then the one on the far flank was only damaged by the bard, and so is going to approach Faithress and also make a bite attack. And I rolled a 2, so that is not going to do it. But then all of them fold out of existence and disappear.
Oops.
Where'd they go?
What is wrong with this place?
And we are back around to Soot.
Kind of start gently moving forward, prodding invisible space with the warhammer.
Yeah, so you're prodding in the space where they were, and it doesn't encounter any resistance. Are any of you trained, proficient in Arcana or Nature?
I am.
Okay.
Arcana.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and make an Arcana check?
That's a nat 1.
Okay. You have no idea. There are so many things that teleport and disappear in the Underdark that it's not that you can't think of anything, you can think of too many things.
I'm sorry, my friend. I do not understand what is going on here.
Well, they're gone. I guess that's the important part.
So we're still in order. So Soot, you're poking around. Do you do anything else?
I'd start moving forward.
Okay.
Probably about half as far, kind of moving slowly and cautiously.
Okay, sure. Kel, Mirage, Faithress.
Kel will move along near him, trying to keep an eye out to the side and up, because Kel doesn't trust anything in this damn place.
Sounds good. Mirage?
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of retreat back into behind one of the stalactites. I always mess them up. Behind one of the mites. Sorry, the one that goes up is stalagmites.
Yeah.
Behind the stalagmite, and then I will. I forgot to bring my friend. I will bring my little bunny out.
Yes.
I had dismissed my familiar. I conjure up a little bunny that's basically has almost the same fur color as myself, which is kind of like black with some highlights of light gray, but he's got a horn in the front of the head. And then I'll just go whisper to him, and there are spiders here. Help me find them. And I'll just like put him down, and then I will use my bonus action to stealth to hide.
Okay. Absolutely. Just give me a stealth check.
Okay. I have a cloak of Elvenkind, so I have advantage on stealth checks. And
Perfect.
anybody trying to detect me has disadvantage on their perception checks.
Perfect.
So that would be a 23.
Okay. So yeah, you throw the hood up on the cloak and sort of move in behind one of the stalagmites and sort of disappear from everyone's sight. Faithress. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. So quick question, being a drow, would I have any inkling of what this was, or do I just
That's a good question. If you're not proficient in Arcana or Nature, I think because you're a drow, just go ahead and give me a general intelligence check. You're familiar with the Underdark.
All right. That's a +0. That's a 13.
A 13. Okay. These are relatively common, so it's not that big a deal. You're pretty sure these are phase spiders, and they can phase in and out from the ethereal plane.
Oh, so they're not just invisible. Oh, sorry. Well, we don't know that yet.
So do I know if they're like, do they hunt people, or do they just kind of pop in and be a nuisance and pop out?
They hunt people.
Okay. I will just keep an eye out. I'll follow the rest of the party.
Okay. All right, so Mirage is sort of stealthed off. I'm guessing the three of you are probably like, keeping a watch out around, the whole periphery. Okay, which is good because in front of each of you, because they have lost track of Mirage, suddenly the spiders refold out of existence, sort of one in front of each of you, sort of keeping you herded and a little bit surrounded. So one's going to make a bite attack on Soot. And with a 4, that's going to miss. On Kel, this time that's an 18.
That hits.
So that will do... That will do 11 points of piercing damage, and I need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okie dokie. And that's that. 13.
Okay, so you pass. So you're only going to take half damage as you feel this poison coursing from the bite. So it would have been 20, so it's reduced by half, so you take 10 points of poison damage.
Ouch.
And then the other one is on Faithress, and that was a natural 20.
Ouch.
But I roll a 3 and a 1, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And I need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh no, that's a 5.
So that fails. 4, 5. 16 points of poison damage.
Yikes!
Oh.
And then they're just standing there. They don't pop back out. They stay on the material plane, and we're back around to Soot.
Well, if it didn't wander off, we'll try and smash it.
Absolutely.
And with a hold still, you evil rurf. 20.
All right. Yes, that hits.
4, 7 points of damage.
Okay. So that cracks into its abdomen. You definitely hear some things shatter inside of it. Sometimes I can't math. All right. And so Kel. The one in front of you looks very hurt. This is the one that's like missing a limb. It's got ichor leaking out of it all over the place.
Well, Kel is going to try to finish this SOB off with his Warhammer. He's going to bring it down two-handed. And he's going to miss horribly with a 6.
Yeah, it sort of... Basically, with its missing leg, it sort of staggers sideways a bit, and so it makes your hammer miss it totally by accident and crash into the floor.
There's lots of swearing going on now.
Perfect. Mirage, you are hidden, and it is your turn. You're in behind all of these, so...
There's still 3 of them?
There is still 3. One looks extremely injured. One is quite hurt. And then the one in front of Faithress is scratched.
Okay. The 2 that are the most injured, like, are they close to each other?
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of, if you can picture a circle around your group, there's sort of, 3 points on a circle around it, but it's still all close enough that you could, with your movement, you're a rogue, you can get...
But I'm basically asking so that if I hit one, will my green flame blade hit the other, like on a secondary target?
Sure.
It's 5 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do is I will come out of the shadows, and I will stealthily approach the spiders, and then I will attack the one that is damaged but not near death.
Yep.
With my short sword and with the green flame blade. That is a 13.
That just hits.
Yes. Okay, and that is sneak attack damage.
Yep.
It's a little better. So 7, 14, 19, sorry, 14, 19 piercing damage plus 4 fire damage.
Yep.
And then the one that was near death receives, 10 points of fire damage.
Perfect. So when you stab the one, your blade skewers deep into its abdomen, and you hear just this horrible gurgling sound as it coughs up this ichor all over Soot. It gets stabbed from behind, and the ichor just sprays all over the cleric. And then when the fire leaps to the next one, which is in front of Kel, it just lights the whole thing on fire until it ends up as, when spiders die and they end up on their back with the legs all curled up into a little husk. That is the state of it.
Okay, and then I will just use a little bit more of my movement to go to the last spider and use my bonus action for a dagger strike.
Perfect.
That is a 25 to hit.
That absolutely hits.
And that is going to be a mere 4 damage.
Okay. So it takes another sort of deep wound from the blade and sort of clatters its mandibles and sort of half spins, looking between you and Faithress. And it is Faithress's turn.
First, I'm going to cast Healing Word on myself because I am hurting.
Okay, excellent.
Level, so D&D Beyond, please let me cast. It's not letting me. Okay, whatever. It's 1d4 plus 3. It's 5. I'll take that.
All right.
And then as my action, I'm gonna stab it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Honestly, I thought I left these things behind. I'm gonna miss really badly, I think. That's only an 11. That ain't gonna hit.
No, it just barely misses it. Your blade sort of scrapes and lunges just as it manages to step aside a little bit. Okay. So it is its turn. And it's going to take a bite at Mirage, because it's going to spin around now that Mirage is it's aware of his presence. And that's also going to be an 18 to hit.
I'm going to use Uncanny Dodge to half that.
Okay. All right, so you'll have the damage on the bite, which was 10 piercing damage, so halve to 5.
Okay.
And then I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Ouch. That is a 9. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that does not pass.
Yeah.
7, 8, 12, 18 points of poison damage. It just burns through your veins. And then we're back around to Soot.
And there's still one of those spiders up, right?
There is.
I'm gonna stomp over to it. Say, you need to smash him. And a 22.
Absolutely.
5 points of damage.
Okay. So again, your Warhammer smashes into it with a solid, meaty thud, and it squeals in pain. And Kel. Oh, you're muted, I think.
Sorry there.
No
Kel
problem.
Will just go, yeah, okay, these guys are really kind of annoying. And he's just going to aim over the cleric's shoulder at the other spider and unleash a Eldritch Blast, which is a 14 to hit.
Absolutely, that hits.
And that's 3 points of damage.
Okay.
And the second one is 21 to hit.
Okay, great.
With 5 points of damage.
5. All right. This one's looking quite rough now as the two Eldritch Blasts sort of crackle into it. And it's got like a couple of holes burnt into its carapace. Mirage, we're back to you.
Okay. I will start by taking a swing. There's just one spider left, right?
There is just the one spider left, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take one swing at it with my short sword with green flame blade.
Okay.
That is a 15 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Still sneak attack.
Yeah, because you've got allies sort of surrounding it now.
That's what I figured. It's 5, 11, 13 plus 5, 18 piercing damage plus 8 fire damage.
All right. So similarly to the other one, your short sword just rips into its thorax. Deep inside, you can feel your hand basically go into its warm, ichor-filled insides, and then the flame erupts out through all of its joints, through its mouth, and then it is a burnt-out husk on the floor.
And I spit on it. Foul creature. And then I just collapse. Mirage is hurt.
I can fix that.
And then my bunny comes back to me, and I just like start petting him a little bit. There, you are fine. I protected you.
The bunny with a unicorn horn on its head.
Yes.
In case that got missed by anyone when it first made its appearance.
It's a bunny that's got a unicorn horn.
Yes. It sort of rubs its head, snuggles into you.
Okay.
I'll cast the Cure Wounds on Mirage.
You see, like when you cast the spell, when you start casting the spell, I kind of like recoil a little bit, kind of in an untrustworthy manner. But then when I feel the effect, it's like, that is quite good, small one.
I'd rather keep you up.
So you said 11?
Yep.
Healing? Okay, thank you.
I would like to also mention I am hurt. The cat was not the only one who got bitten by the spider.
Yes, but I'm the one who killed him.
Patience. Cast Cure Wounds on Vecus as well.
I'm very hurt.
8 points.
That's good. Look, Phaethris might be being a little bit mean about it, but I'm like, thank you.
So, as you're all sitting there recuperating a bit from your wounds, and as Soot sort of doles out some healing, from sort of in the back corner of the cave where there's a bunch of the webbing, and you can sort of see now, there's definitely humanoid-shaped bundles in the webs in like various places. But one of the smaller bundles starts twitching, and you hear a
Oh, it's the guy with the claw. Oh, no, never mind. Different game.
I'd rush over and try and help him out.
Yeah, so you start tearing at some of the webbing, and the first thing that pops free is a bare, sort of overly large green foot with sort of like yellow nails that kind of pops out. You tear a bit more of the webbing away, and a big green ear flops out, and it kind of quickly becomes obvious that this is a little goblin staring at you with like very large eyes and a whole lot of fear. There's like snot running out of its nose and like over the webbing.
I pull out my light crossbow and I aim it from the back, but aim it at the goblin while they keep hacking away.
Once I can see it's a crying and afraid goblin, I'm going to step back a little cautiously and say, "The spiders hurt you too?"
Yeah. I was scouting for Azrok and getting supplies from Skullport, and they got me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know how to get out?
Skullport?
No, back to the yawning portal. Can you get us to Waterdeep?
There's Goblin Bazaar above. Been there. Been to kind of stay away from Waterdeep.
Oh yeah. Can you give us directions?
The Xanathar forces goblins to work for him. I don't want to work for him.
Yeah.
We should free the goblin and let him go, but
I could take you.
This creature.
Could take you to Azrok.
Who's Azrok?
Who is this Azrok?
Azrok is the Hobgoblin warlord.
Oh, fun! Delightful.
We have town. We trade. It's comfy and safe. Azrok probably knows better way out. We just got to keep it. We just got to keep an eye out for the Drow. These spiders probably work for them.
Can I step out of the shadows? Honestly, darling, you're really going to say that in front of me?
I didn't know. Are you with them? House Averinder?
I'm with whoever's giving me the money, and right now it's them. And I gesture over to the dwarf, to Tabaxi, and the human.
You sort of
make a big show of putting my rapier away.
Are you adventurers?
And I lean over to the dwarf and I say, "We are giving her money."
Well, somebody is. We'll worry about that when we get out. Well, hey, could you give us direction to the city? Like, we don't want to get you in trouble. You should go on your own, but I'd like to know how to get there.
Well, if you go and follow the river, and then you take a left, and then he just proceeds to give, and he's doing the whole like this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then at the mushrooms, you eat a mushroom, and then you go up.
I smile and nod. Yeah, that's very helpful. Go ahead. Be on your way now.
The directions seem to give you sort of almost like a swirling spiral pattern.
So we go towards the middle. All right.
We have to eat the mushroom.
No, but usually by that point I'm hungry.
Hunger is a much important thing.
It is. Always hungry until found Azrok, and Azrok feeds us, doesn't make us do terrible things.
Mirage does not enjoy feeding on fungus.
Question for you, dear. How does
Yes?
Azrok feel about Drow?
Well, currently the Drow here we're fighting a war.
Fun.
But
Best avoid them.
there's other Drow in Skullport, and sometimes he does business with them. So
what? While they're chit chatting, there was a dead corpse that had been blown up on the floor.
Yes.
Right.
absolutely.
So I'm basically discreetly casting my mage hand silently, which is invisible, and then using it to kind of like pilfer through that bag and check that body.
Okay. Give me an investigation check. So what happens is the mage hand is like rooting around in the bag and ends up lifting and upsetting the bag into just like a big pile as everything falls out of the bag at once, and like pots and pans clang and rattle, and the goblin, and I don't know about everybody else, like sort of whirls and like looks and sees this just like floating bag in the air and then just a pile of stuff.
And Mirage just
And the goblin just goes, "Ooh, treasures."
Pots and pans, those could be useful.
I once wore a pot on my head as a helmet.
is that all there was in there? Pots and pans and trinkets like this.
There's a pile of stuff at the moment.
Okay, well now that everything is ruined, I'll just physically walk over and
You sort of look through. There's a scattering of some coins there. There's only about 10 gold, 20 silver, and there's like another like 15 copper pieces. There's the pots and pans and like whetstones. There's a rope, like a 50-foot rope, an iron crowbar. There's a small little journal, like an adventurer's journal. And that seems to be it.
Okay, so I reach down to grab the journal, and then I stealthily just grab all the coins in the process, and then start like reading. Start reading the. I don't get to roll a sleight of hand or something.
You can roll a sleight of hand, yes.
That's a 20, a dirty 20.
All right, so if anyone's passive perception is
no.
higher than 20, otherwise he's just kind of like rooting through and just things disappear.
It was 10 gold, 20 silver, and 15 copper?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, and then while they keep talking, I keep looking at the journal.
Yeah. So it sort of just details someone else who had left Skullport and come to this area. It mentions the troubles between the Hobgoblin and the Drow. And it actually says that he'd had an audience with Azrok, that the Hobgoblin sort of actually welcomed him kind of warmly, and that he is looking for a dagger that the Hobgoblin's wife had asked him to get that had been stolen by the Drow that was precious to them.
And there's no dagger in the bag or on him?
No.
Okay.
And it doesn't mention finding it, just mentions that, he thinks he was going to follow this up because the Hobgoblins had offered a very rich reward for its return.
Okay. So, while you guys want to keep on talking, or with the goblin?
And
I was doing this while you guys were talking.
Yeah, the pot is all I had. But then when I joined Azrok, he gave me a real helmet.
Oh. And then I grabbed one of the pots, and then I just handed it over to him, and I said, "You may have this one."
Do not encourage him.
Better than nothing.
He's a nice little goblin. He's had a hard day. He deserves at least a pot. In fact, you can take all the pots.
Yes. Can I have the bag to carry the pots?
Sure.
There was not nothing else you said. There was like a crowbar, and what else?
Crowbar, a rope, camping equipment. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just put everything back in and just give it to him basically. And I look at the others like,
Unless some of you would like these treasures.
He's had a worse day than we have.
So I
He
basically
should take him.
I give the bag to the goblin. Sounds the coins.
And he's like squirming. He's doing like a little kid squirmy dance in excitement.
Are we going to get any information from the book that the hobgoblin is maybe friendly?
Yes. Yeah, I was reading in this book that the hobgoblin seems to be a amicable fellow. Maybe we should pursue this direction.
Sounds reasonable to me. What do you guys think?
If he's willing to help, I don't see why not.
Where
But there
exactly
was
this
this
Oh.
poor fellow here was looking for a dagger from some wife of the hobgoblin that the Drow, the Dark Ones, had
Oh.
stolen or kept.
Lovely. I love going home.
There does not seem to be an indication that he found the dagger. Mirage is not sure if we should find the dagger first before meeting with this what's the name? And I look at the book again, like, what's his name again?
Azrok?
Azrok.
Azrok. Forgive Mirage. Surface names elude me sometimes.
Lives below the ground.
But hobgoblins come from the surface.
Well,
I'm making
it probably would be impressive if we found the dagger.
Oh yes, yeah, a drow walking into a hobgoblin's lair with the dagger that the drow stole. This is a perfect idea.
How do you think I feel? I'm a dwarf.
This,
But if we can get out,
well, Dark One, this could be a good way to ingratiate yourself to this hobgoblin.
In fact, if nothing else, you could be maybe a piece of peace for this place. People are going to war and making it harder for us to get the heck out of here if there's peace between the two groups, because this stolen item is returned by someone who appears to be one of the ones who stole it. That's not a bad way to stop a war.
We should proceed. Let's see who we find first. The green ones or the dark ones?
I like it. Let's let chance make its choice.
Whatever.
All right.
So can you describe the room where we are now in terms of exits?
Yeah. So this was sort of you basically came through it as you were leaving Skullport, and then it's pretty much just the single exit out, and you can actually hear the river, the Sargauth River, flowing by. It appears that this exits out onto the shore of the river.
Okay, so I'm going to take the lead. I'm just going to start walking out of this room. I have, his name is Edge, by the way. So I've got Edge walking around in front of me also, and I sometimes swap quickly just to see if he sees something ahead of me. And then while walking, of course, keep an eye out for ambushes, traps, things like that.
Right. Okay.
And I move as stealthily as possible.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So, these dungeon levels are big, and we're taking sort of an abbreviated tour. So as we're going from point A to point B, we'll see what you see along the way. But we will have everyone contribute in various ways to a little bit of a sort of skill challenge, narrative travel, bit of travel. So there's always your obvious things, right? Like survival for navigation, a scout doing stealth or perception. You can pull in one of your abilities or spells or something like that. Almost anything you can think of to sell to me of something that you're contributing along the way as we go through. And we'll go through and find something from each of you. I am assuming that Mirage, as the scout, already saying about, sneaking out and doing perception, that sort of thing. So you have your choice right now. If you want your roll to contribute this to be stealth or perception. We're assuming you're kind of doing both, but you're going to make one roll.
Well,
but you're going to do what?
I'll definitely do stealth since I have advantage on stealth. So
okay.
So that would be 29.
A 29. All right. So Faithress, what about you? Or if you want time to think, I can hop along and we can circle back unless you've got an idea.
I would like some time to think, please.
Okay, sure. So let's go around and Kel. What would Kel be doing on this journey? As you're sort of trying to find your way around and navigate.
Kel will probably be doing his best to keep an eye out in whichever direction that Mirage is not. He's got the dark sight, so he can see out into the darkness to 120 feet distance.
Perfect.
So he'll be keeping that, and the alert feat means he can't be surprised. So he's definitely going to be basically trying to scan out and keeping his Eldritch Blast ready to try to stop things before they get to the party.
Okay, so that sounds like a perception check to me.
Okay. That's a natural 1.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Mackenzie, I thought I saw you doing a little dance there that you had an idea.
No.
Oh, okay.
That was a no. That's
All right. So what is Soot doing sort of on this journey? What's their main thing?
Just long ago given up on being stealthy, so kind of plodding along, but casts guidance on our primary scout consistently to try and help with different roles.
Okay. All right. So we'll assume that the scouting is going even better than the roll is. So why don't you give me?
So I have a 33 then.
Yeah, so Soot's still going to make a roll for their contribution. I'm going to have you roll a religion check.
A religion check.
Since you're calling on your god to give this supernatural guidance.
Apparently the reception's bad down here. I got an 8.
All right. So, so it's hard to dial in, although you're a dwarf, do you worship a dwarven god?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought he was using the guidance cantrip.
Yeah, he is, but this is a skill challenge. That is what he's doing, but yeah.
I am a dwarf, but I've been on the surface for like 60 years, so...
Right.
I got used to being under the light.
And actually, one thing you notice as you're doing this travel is some of the ruins that you see, like you go by like some crumpled buildings and there's like some carved stone pillars and things like that, appear to have originally been dwarven in make. So the dwarves are here once, but their presence is faint, so perhaps that is interfering with your connection.
Oh, could be.
Are we carrying any light, by the way? Because I'm not. So
I can make light if everyone needs it.
well, I don't need it, but
No, I think everyone actually in this party has dark vision or even better, so I think we are all good. So
we have a human.
He has devil sight.
but he's got devil's sight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Faithress.
But
A quick question for skill checks: are we allowed to do the same skill as someone else, or no?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not as picky about that. It's not quite a formal like 4E skill check, as long as like not everybody does perception or something. But
Okay, because I mean, I can't do much with like performance down here.
You can sell me on practically anything. I mean, if you wanted to pull a Pied Piper routine, we would make it work.
I kind of wanted to
dance.
what I kind of wanted to do was because I wanted to cast like just kind of in our vicinity, just kind of cast dancing light and just kind of, like, wind it up and like look for like if there are like nests of bats kind of like tucked into a corner and try and like just sort of like juggle the lights and sort of show off my home.
Yeah. And it could cause a bit of a distraction, right? As the lights are dancing in places where your group isn't and things like that.
Flash colors and just sort of like lazily tossing them about.
Perfect. I actually think that, I mean, yes, you're casting a spell, but I mean, if you're proficient in Arcana, we could go with that. But I think I totally buy performance here.
Bards. All right, please. That is I can add. 21.
21. Excellent. All right. So we've got sort of 2 successes, 2, not so good. So it sort of all balances out in the end. So, yes. So the scout is off ahead of the group, stealthing through the darkness. The cleric is having a little bit of difficulty getting their deity on the line, so to speak. It's just the busy signal. The dancing lights are like swirling through and occasionally causing bats to like erupt and fly out, which causes some distractions. And you can definitely hear occasionally a shot from a crossbow, like a twang out of the darkness that fires into like these bats that you've disturbed from somewhere across the river. It seems like
I look at my own just to make sure nothing misfired. Okay.
Yeah, no, it definitely all seems to be coming from across the river. And you occasionally see lights over on the other side of the river illuminating like a ruined town of some kind. And you occasionally hear like shots fired and goblinoid or drow voices yelling at one another across a bit of a no man's land. But the interesting thing is, as you're following this, basically the eastern shore of the river, and all the activity from the drow and the hobgoblins appears to be on the the western side. You come across a cave that is opening up off of the beach of the river that you're on. So you can continue following down, along the river, continuing sort of in the southwesterly direction. Or from this cave, there actually appears to be a cheery fire bubbling away, and a voice calls out and just says, "Oh, travelers, if you seek information, we perhaps can help you."
I'm immediately gonna hide.
Yeah, you're hidden out, and Faithris, actually one of the voices switches to Drow and just says, "You in particular may wish to know the lay of the land of your kin here." Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
I'm going to take one of the little globules and just very quickly just like flick it into the cave.
Yeah, so the globe flies in and illuminates a little bit more. There appears to be a fire burning somewhere like around a corner. But you can see 3 older women around, very stereotypically, a bubbling cauldron. They have long, lanky hair. There's like bits of seaweed woven into their hair. A couple of them have like barnacles growing on their face. Very Pirates of the Caribbean. But they look out and they just say, "Please come. We mean you no harm. We have no quarrel with adventurers here."
Can I reply back in Drow?
Yep.
Why would you help a Drow like me? I don't belong to them anymore.
And I can assure you, the Drow on this level are no friends of ours.
Call back my light. I'm gonna look at the others and see if they go in.
I'm hidden.
Gonna look at Kel and Suit. Like the cat's gone again.
I'll just stomp up to the fire, pretty open. And what information can your kind offer us?
Oh, we can offer you many things if questions you have about what is on this level, perhaps. Oh, I forgot. Sometimes we forget to be polite and to introduce ourselves. And need to find it. Where is it? Where'd it go? There it is. I am Coral Black. These are my sisters, Gurgle Brine and Cauldra Cuttlefingers. At your service.
Well then, greetings to you, too.
And do a little bow. And keep talking in Drow and be like, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Phaethris.
Of course. Oh, and she looks at the one that's talking, Coral, looks at Soot. You must be angered by the desecration that has happened here to the workings of your ancestors. Or at least the cousins of your ancestors.
It's sad, but I wouldn't go so far as angry. All things fall eventually.
I think perhaps if you saw the temple that the Drow now inhabit, you might feel differently. It has been desecrated by vile rites.
Can you tell me where this temple would be?
Yes, across the river, just west of here, is where the Drow are. Further to the west are the Hobgoblins. The Hobgoblins are rather more inviting, a little bit more, dare I say, civilized. The Drow priestess has taken over the Temple of Dumathoin. Tell me, and she's looking at Phaethris, do you have any allegiance to House Avarinder?
I swear allegiance to no house. Not anymore.
Good. You're not fans of theirs either.
How many are usually on this floor?
Yes. This is but an outpost. Of course, further in Undermountain, the Drow are more dug in, shall we say. Nevertheless, the Drow here amass with designs on Skullport itself. I do not think, as vile a place as you perhaps think Skullport is, that it would be any better served if the Drow of House Avarinder took it over.
That is a little close for comfort.
Because who knows? First Skullport, and then what? Waterdeep, perhaps?
What do you know of the surface world? Do you know how to get there?
I do. The easiest ways out, of course, to the sea caves have been locked by the Black Cloak. If you seek to enter above, in the heart of this ruined town, and a little bit north in the catacombs, there is stairs.
And how many Drow are between us and those stairs?
Good good question. The hobgoblins, I think, would let you pass, although that route is longer, and to go all the way around, there are perhaps other dangers, drow patrols and the like. To cut through the drow, for lack of a better word, fortress, or drow town, as some are now calling it, well, there is perhaps at least a dozen drow, if not more, plus their spiders and other servants. And a high priestess leads them.
That sounds a little above our pay grade.
Perhaps. Although if you had help.
I think we should pay the hobgoblins a visit.
Question, my ladies.
Yes.
Are the hobgoblins welcoming to someone of my...
I believe if you could make it, I expect they would be suspicious. But as long as you approach in present company, I suspect you will not be shot on sight.
Delightful.
Sometimes that is all the best we can hope for, my dear.
Is there a way to the hobgoblins that doesn't involve going through the drow?
Oh, yes. If you follow the river to the southwest, you will eventually come to a landing. The boatman can take you across. Don't be shocked by the boatman's appearance. I assure you, if you do not trouble him, he will not trouble you.
Do we have to pay the boatman?
No. The boatman provides passage. It is his duty. The Black Cloak has decreed it. Although
I'm staying quiet in the shadows. I'm trying to read the witches to see if they seem sincere.
Yeah, go ahead and give me an insight check.
Insight 15.
Okay. They actually, as far as you can tell, despite all appearances, they appear to be being sincere.
I just can't shake the image of the witch from Bugs Bunny, you know? Nobody would start running, clack her shoes.
That are going over my head.
I'm sorry. That's true. That is true, yeah. Okay. So I'm staying quiet for now.
These three ladies look straight out of Pirates of the Caribbean, like some sort of sea witch that Johnny Depp would be talking to, or like the Dead Man's, like, where it comes up and they've got like sea things growing on them. They very much, the Davy Jones people. Like, imagine like a clam is growing out of their neck. Like it's that kind of thing.
Ladies, I have one last question. Do you know how many drow priestesses are with the outpost up here?
Just the one high priestess. Some lesser acolytes, but the high priestess is devoted to Lolth herself, of course.
Of course.
Naturally.
My ladies, what are you brewing in that cauldron of yours?
Oh, you're in this cauldron. And if you look over, you can see it's sort of bubbling. It's very murky. There's a little bit of steam rising off of it. And it's actually quite big. It's sort of like a 5-foot diameter made of stone. But otherwise, you can't see what is in it. She stirs it a little bit and says, well, this is what we use to see beyond what we can see here. To see distant events, like in Skullport, perhaps.
Distance as in time, or distance as in... How far away?
As in place. I'm afraid seen distantly in time is beyond my abilities. But very clever.
Do you know where the dagger that the Hobgoblin leader seeks lays now?
Well, would you like us perhaps to look for you?
Sure.
We would, of course, require some payment.
Looked up very suspiciously. What sort of payment?
Oh, I think perhaps a single lock of your hair should suffice.
All of us or just him?
Oh, just any one of you will do.
Why not? Kel will reach up and slice off a lock
If
of his
at all
hair.
possible, Mirage is gonna like hug the shadows even more to protect all of his hair. You know?
He, as a cat, starts like reflexively grooming himself.
Maybe I could cough a hairball for them, you know?
I hear that sound too much in the middle of the night. All right, so Kel, so you hand over a lock of hair, and she takes it, and she holds it, and she's looking at it, and then she tips her head back, opens her mouth, and slowly lowers it into her mouth and sucks it up like a pasta noodle. She just...
Nothing disturbing about that at all.
Yeah.
and she belches. So...
Fine.
And then she starts stirring the pot and kind of like lowers her fingers and like wafts the fumes up into her face. And then she sort of leans back and her eyes kind of roll back until they're just white. And she says, yes, the dagger. Hidden among the priestess's belongings in the middle of the Drow fortress is where it is.
Of course.
Agents of hers must have taken it. The dagger is, let's just say, the source of Azrok's power, and without it, his grip on the Legion is fracturing. And then her eyes, go back to normal, and she just sort of leans forward again.
Edge a little further away. Well, I appreciate your help, ladies. I think we should be on our way.
Are you sure you would not like to stay for dinner?
A little more green. No, I think I'll be fine. I've got military rations.
When she smiles, her smile is too big, and there are too many very sharp, shark-like teeth in her mouth. And she just sort of like licks her thin lips and says, but we have all kinds of meats. We could even cook it for you.
Well, this is a big potion of healing, so.
You don't make it to 90 by drinking odd things out of cauldrons.
Yeah.
I'm backing away in a southerly direction.
Thank you for your time, ladies.
You're most welcome. Please do give our regards to Azrok if you decide to go meet with him.
Who should we tell him is giving his regards again?
Oh, just tell him Coral said hello.
Coral. Okay, I'll retreat back in the shadows with them.
I'll walk out, and as I leave, I'll say in Drow, thank you.
May you and she responds in Drow and says, "May you find what you are looking for."
And then back in Drow to say, honestly, you could eat any of them. I wouldn't care.
They're perhaps too stringy for our tastes. We like it softer.
Oh, when I hear softer, I move away.
It's
She was
in
actually
Drow. It's
she
in
was actually
Drow.
saying she was saying that in Drow. It still sounds
Are
intimidating.
they Drow or human? What are they? I missed that.
Well, human-ish. They're not Drow for sure.
Okay. All
They
right.
look kind of human.
Okay.
All right.
Shall we?
I want to get relatively sure we're out of earshot.
and they holler out after you as you're sort of leaving, and they say, "Oh, if you see the ghosts, they're just looking for treasure. You could probably buy your way past them."
I pause mid-step, think about turning back, and just go, keep going on.
Nope.
Okay. Ghost, Drow, priestesses, hobgoblin. This is a wonderful place.
Well, I think we need reinforcements. We should talk to the hobgoblins first. You should go talk to the boatman.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out where we are on the map, and do
You're
we have another choice right now. We just keep going, or
You're along the river. You were sort of in this area up around 10. Sort of, there's like a series of caves there. That's where the hags were. And so the river continues flowing sort of southwest. And you haven't found any bridges or anything like that. So from what the women told you is that the boatman is probably further south somewhere along the river.
so is there a path along the river?
You're kind of walking on the shore. Basically, there's a little river shore along the river, and that's where you're walking.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
All right.
See if we can find that boat, because I'm not setting foot in that water.
Yep.
I don't like the water.
I don't like this water very well.
That's totally legitimate. All right, so you continue following, and indeed, after not too terribly long, you travel sort of about the same distance that you traveled before, seeing similar sights and kind of doing the same actions. When I guess Kel or Mirage are going to be the first to see it. Kel's vision is further because the Devil Sight is 120 feet. And I think Faithress
I have
is
120 feet too.
yeah. So they're both 120 feet, and then Mirage is like scouting ahead of them with 60 feet. So sort of the three of them kind of tend to see things around the same time, but Mirage is the sharp end of the spear, so to speak, and closer. You do, resolving itself in your dark vision, you see about three insubstantial ghostly shapes walking along the shore, head down and like picking through the rocks like they're looking for something. And you can just sort of hear like a thin muttering of like, I swore the treasure was around here somewhere. Gotta find the treasure. That's why we came down here in the first place. Find the treasure.
Hide in shadows. You guys are gonna have to take the lead here, because I'm hiding. I'm not supposed to talk.
Yeah, Cal and Faithress like see this and then just see Mirage like nope into a shadow and sort of disappear.
Honestly.
Well, they said
Still
bribe-
traumatized from that spider, so.
And they look ghostly, like not all the way solid.
They do, and as you get closer, they actually, they've got sort of tattered, obviously insubstantial clothing on. One of them has an eye patch. They're barefoot. They look kind of like sailors.
I want to go around them. I don't think we need to bother the dead.
Yeah. Let's maybe. Can we skirt around them?
So yeah, they're in this like little, almost like a cavern area. So like the beach you're on that you're walking along kind of extends up a little further, and set back from the river a bit is like a sandy floored cavern with like lots of rocks around it. So they're not right up on the water's edge. You may perhaps be able to stealth by them. Mirage has certainly not been noticed.
I want to try and stealth by them.
How far away are they from us?
They're, depending on where you're standing, they're anywhere from, you first saw them when you were about 60 feet away from them.
Okay. And from where I am to the edge of the water, what's the distance?
So the shore that you're typically walking along is relatively narrow.
Okay.
But they're sort of up off of it a little bit. They're probably, if you tried to walk right by them along the river, you would at most be like 40 feet away from them. And there's not a whole lot of cover.
I want to do a distraction, but I need some distance. So they're kind of still ahead of us right now, but let's say
up and off to your left, right?
They're up to the left.
Yeah, because there's the shore, right, and then there's kind of up off of the shore, like a little embankment. And
I thought they were on the shore, like by the river.
No, they're just back from it a little ways.
Okay.
But close. It's not, it's like a room away. It's not, a football field away.
Okay, but the thing is, how are you guys dressed again? Remind me.
Like typical adventuring gear.
What kind of armor are you wearing?
Sit stomping through with chainmail.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
I'm going to try and stealth around them. I rolled a 2.
All right, so Soot just keeps kind of walking with the chainmail, rattling, and the ghosts all sort of whirl and look down the beach and sort of do this.
Right when he does that, I'm gonna cast like kind of behind us, like away from us as far as my range takes it. I'm gonna cast an audible minor illusion of the sound of coins like falling down on the rocks to basically distract them away from us.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
Go ahead and give me a deception check. And Faithress, yeah.
Since if I notice what he's doing, can I take one of? I'm just gonna take a dancing light and I'm gonna put it nearby and I'm gonna make it gold.
Okay. Yes. And with the dancing lights, you can merge them so it looks like a glowing humanoid shape.
It's a big notch, the big pile of gold light wherever the coin.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So so as you guys kind of tag team this,
Sleight of hand, maybe. No.
Sure, sleight of hand. Absolutely,
Okay.
I'll buy that.
Okay.
And then Faithress, I would allow you to make a performance check here.
Oh, I can do deception or performance.
Yep. Which approach are you taking? Either one is good.
I'll do deception.
Cool. Absolutely. Sounds good.
So that's what did we
That's an
say again?
actual
Sleight of
19
hand.
17?
plus 9.
Excellent.
And 17 for my sleight of hand.
So
Okay.
sorry, it's 19 plus 9, so 20.
Oh, 19 plus 9. 28?
Yeah, 28. It's
Excellent.
a very
Nice.
convincing pile of lit up gold.
Yeah. So as he makes the sound, you sort of like key in on it super quick and make this like light up. And you hear a voice go, ahoy there, slur tongue, there be gold. And they sort of like pound up the sand, but of course, like they're not making any, sort of impression or anything. And then they're going like pawing around in the rocks where you made the gold sound, and you have an opportunity to slip past them.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
So I will have Soot make another stealth check, but I'm gonna give you advantage on this because
so that nils my disadvantage.
nils your disadvantage because of the distraction.
And I keep doing another like sound of minor illusion. It's silent. I don't have a verbal component, so
Yep.
I got to generate noise that will cover the noise he's making.
I got
Perfect.
16. Not bad.
Perfect. So you manage to sort of like put your hands into your side and like keep the chainmail from jingling too much as you guys sprint along the beach.
Suck in your gut.
Hold it down and start huffing.
And you just, we're running. Okay. So you slip by them. And then you can see, after another couple of minutes, there is a beachy, like a landing area, and sort of rocking gently in the river water beside it is a gondola.
Is there anybody standing next to the gondola?
There is someone standing in the gondola. And so the gondola is all black. It is made of black wood, and carved all along the hull as you get close are eyes. Just staring eyes carved into the wood. It's moored at the river's edge, and there is a black-robed figure standing currently with its back to you, hands on the big, gondola paddle, or pole, I guess. And it sort of turns and looks at you, and the hood kind of falls away, and it is a skeletal tiefling. You can tell because there's little horns.
Skeletal tiefling.
Yep. And it is just standing there, moored, leaning on the 10-foot pole, and looking at you quietly.
Immediately at the sight of this aberration, I'm just like,
Sorry, guys. Hey, are you the boatman that can take us to the Hobgoblin town?
And the skeleton just nods.
All right. We'd like to go there now, please.
And it sort of gestures with its hand to like indicate to climb aboard. Yes, Faithress.
Oh no, that wasn't me. I'm just keep gesturing because Faithers does that, and so I'm just like
Gotcha.
plays with my hands a lot. Sorry.
No, it's totally good.
I'm
Okay.
I'm short of breath and tired. I'm just crawling in the gondola.
before we crawl in, so I'm not hiding anymore. We have to cross after all. So, excuse me. And I'm looking at him, and I'm really like kind of like confused by this thing that is like still moving, despite the fact that it's a skeleton. Jingly one. Are there terms before we can actually cross the river?
And it just quietly shakes its head no. And then just gestures again.
Okay. I will get on the gondola, but being very careful not to touch like one single wet spot. On that river.
I'm imagining you like perched
The
on the.
paws, and exactly like this, and
The hunched cat.
I'm kind of taking the same approach, but I'm curled up in the ball in the bottom of the boat.
Oh no!
I'm imagining Flint Fireforge. Yeah.
Yep.
and I'm basically like clutching my my light crossbow the whole time, but like nervously like having my eyes darting around between skeleton water skeleton water skeleton water the whole time.
Yeah.
Faith, this will take an extremely very meticulously planned, relaxed position. Like she has her like boots kicked up like above the bench
Yeah.
under which suit is hiding, and she's just kind of strumming and just trying really hard to pretend to be relaxed, even though this is creeping her out.
Yeah. So the very like deliberate, relaxed pose, and
This is this is fine pose.
This is fine. It's all fine. Nothing is wrong here. This is good.
All right, and then with a very subtle gesture of a minor illusion, I'm just gonna make like a loud splashing noise right next to Faye.
There's a big splash in the
Can
water.
I try and detect it?
Yeah. Why don't you do? We'll do a sleight of hand
Sleight of
for his
hand.
casting.
It doesn't minor illusion have like a DC for it? If I
It does, yeah. So this is for if you pick him, detect him casting it first, and then you have you
Oh,
can,
okay.
yeah.
I will
Yeah,
try to
so
detect him casting
it's-
it first.
Yeah, it's 22 for my
Okay,
casting.
I do not see it. I'm just
All
gonna go with my passive. I do not see it.
And then it's
Yeah.
investigation against my DC of 13. to
Oh
identify
yeah,
what's-
no, that is a for investigation. That's a 3.
So for you, it's a real sound of loud splashing water right next to you. You know.
You just hear like when it's like really musical, and then just like
it's the loot record scratch.
And I don't know if you've ever like pictured a cat smiling, but now there's a cat smiling. You know. All right, let's see what happens with the boatman.
Pathris will remember this.
Beatrice doesn't know what
He doesn't
happened.
know.
It's true.
He doesn't know what happened.
Yeah. So the gondolier leans down and sort of unties a rope off the gondola and then pushes off into the river, and looks at you with a sort of like where to gesture.
Is there an option? Are we just going across, or?
Yeah, he sort of points. He can sort of take you anywhere on the river.
I mow hobgoblins from the bottom of the boat.
And he just nods and then sort of pushes you kind of a little southwards with the river flow, but generally across, and moves over to a landing.
So what did you say? Like we're going to see hobgoblins? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. So was that
That's
just
where we
right
decided
across,
to
or
go.
we just went down the river first?
It's sort of, it's mostly across, but it's a little south as well.
Okay.
And I just all right. So he eventually takes you sort of a little bit further south, and lands off on a beach. And then there is a path that sort of seems to head kind of directly north. Seems like it flanks out around the western edge of the town and to the north, which is where you were told that the hobgoblins were concentrated, was sort of that northwest section.
Okay. So did we land, or?
Yes, yep, and then
Okay.
sort of beaches and lets you out, and he sort of just points northwards.
Okay.
I give him a very ostentatious and gracious bow and say thank you, and then walk off the boat.
All right. So when you make your approach towards the hobgoblin encampment. What's your order of approach going to be?
I'm gonna be in the middle.
Like surrounded?
Yes, please.
Is there what's the path leading up? Is it like just wide open, or are there
No, it's sort of
stuff?
yeah. There's stalactites and stalagmites, and there's like a lot of like ruined wall off to your east, like on your right hand side. It was probably the wall that once encompassed the town itself. It's crumpled and ruined, but it provides a nice sort of sheer block on that right hand side. And then off the west is sort of the cavern wall. So this seems to flank all the way up the outside and around.
Okay, so I'll try to do my best to kind of like hop from like between stalagmites, and while the group approaches.
Okay.
I would like to be in between the other two.
All right.
I will move forward, I guess, toward the front.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, we can go kind of side by side in the front, so our friend can hide behind.
I'm not trying to
4'10".
hide. I'm trying to just make sure it looks like I'm really friendly because I don't want to get shot.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go in front,
Fair.
but I'm only 4'10", so.
I mean, I'm like, you guys aren't cover. I'm just more of like, it's appearances. I'm friendly. Don't kill me, thank you.
All right. So as you're making your way forward, Mirage, go ahead and give me a perception check, please.
Perception check. God, I wish I knew all my scores by heart by now. That would be a 26.
Okay, excellent. So from quite well back, when you've got a good vantage point, you're kind of peeking out behind a stalagmite. You can then see some firelight from torches in the distance around a gate. So the wall that was sort of to your right sort of then curves around and blocks off the path ahead of you. Mm-hmm. And there's a closed set of wooden gates with torches on the outside of it providing some illumination. And there's a pair of bugbears standing outside of the gates kind of on sentry duty.
Bugbears. Okay.
Yep. They're just standing there. There's some spears like leaning nearby, but otherwise the bugbears are kind of just standing there doing what bugbears do. They're kind of lounging against the wall.
Okay.
We can approach.
I assume they're going to see the bugbears soon. And the bugbears don't seem to be like hostile. You said they're just on guard duty, right?
Yeah, and they haven't seen you. They just seem to be on guard duty.
Okay. I'll let the party approach. They'll soon realize, because if I say something, my cover is blown. But I'll let the party approach and realize that there's bugbears on their own. And then, but I'll still keep my crossbow like handy just in case.
Okay. So Kel and Soot, why don't you also give me perception checks? I want to just see the relative positioning on when the various people notice it.
Six.
Okay.
And 16.
Okay. So Mirage, they both they would normally go to walk past you, but even with the lower perception roll, Kel's vision is way further, and then of course there's light. So Kel, you see them from fairly far back. You see just two bugbears chilling out, standing by the gate.
Oh, well, we're headed here anyway, so greetings, friends.
And so when you yell out, they kind of straighten up as if they had been caught napping almost, and they lean forward and sort of, because they didn't realize they get the light on, so they can't quite see, and they just yell out, "Who goes there? Who approaches Azrok's hold?"
Just some friendly adventurers, not looking for trouble.
Do you have papers? Identification?
didn't know we needed it.
You can be processed if you wish to visit.
What's involved in this processing?
Someone tells me paperwork. I do not know.
Okay.
Well, nobody died of any paperwork yet.
Have they spotted the Drow yet?
Not yet, because they're in the firelight looking into the darkness, so they actually don't see any of you. But they then ask, have you had any dealings with the Drow?
We have one adventurer of that race, but no one from this area.
And you wish to visit?
Yes.
Do you have a Drow among? Do you have a Drow among you? Oh, Faithress, I love it.
That's awesome. And I thought I was the one stealthing.
Yes.
This
Yes,
will require special dispensation.
What is involved in that?
I do not know. I just watched the gate.
Well, who do we have to talk to then?
Approach, and we will take you
All right.
to the processing center.
Sure, why not?
Thank you, guys. That was very helpful.
And so when you're all approaching, they're like glaring at Faithress as soon as they see the Drow.
Putting on a very, very sweet smile.
We are not fooled by the deceptiveness of the Drow.
Be nice, boys.
This way. And one of them opens up the gate to let you in.
Okay, I step out of the shadows and join the group.
And one of the bugbears actually looks at you, impressed, and says, well, that was good.
I know.
Almost as good as my cousin Daryl.
I must meet this Daryl.
All right.
Turn around.
Oh.
You glance over your shoulder and a very large bugbear steps out of a shadow and just looms behind you.
Well then.
Okay.
He pats you on the shoulder. Well done, little one.
Okay. Well done. Let's proceed.
Do not
Yeah.
steal in Azrok's hold.
Why does everybody assume that my kind will steal your shinies?
That is what we would do. Sneakiness, steeliness.
You know, that's fair.
It is
Very smart.
It is merely a form of protection.
Yes.
against being caught unawares.
Yes. And a means of acquiring gold. This we know.
Does he have a gold pouch on him or something?
No, he does not.
Okay.
Sort of. This is perhaps one of the first time you've ever seen a bugbear wearing a uniform. He's basically wearing like a guard uniform.
That would have been so good.
Wouldn't have.
Okay.
Please,
Let's
this
proceed.
way to the processing center.
Follow along. Why not?
Yeah.
Haven't gotten in enough trouble yet today.
All right. So they lead you in and sort of down a little alley between some ruined buildings, and then into a courtyard. And in the courtyard, there are a bunch of makeshift desks that have been arrayed, and behind each of them is a goblin. So there are 6 goblins seated behind desks with ink pots and quill pens at the ready. And they've got like a sheaf of papers in front of them, and some like ledgers and things like that. There's glowing oil lanterns hanging above each of their desks from chains, and there is a hobgoblin sitting behind a stone lectern with cracked little half moon glasses. So you know the ones that are like flat on the top and round, but they only cover like the half. And he's just peering over them, watching over the goblins. And as each of you arrive, he indicates for you to go to a particular goblin. So he first comes in and says, "Please, desk number 1. Desk number 2, if you please." And there's like a little number seated on each of the goblins' desks. But when he sees Faithress, he says, "Ha. You, I'm afraid, will require special processing."
And then he
Of
pulls out a
course.
rubber glove.
No.
No.
He just says, "I will deal with this myself. Please."
But seriously, when he says that, though, I immediately, like, it alarms me, and I keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Make sure there's no funny business.
Yeah. So he walks over and shoos goblin number 6 out of desk number 6 and gestures for Phaedrus to have a seat on the other side of the desk from him, and sort of slowly dips his quill in ink and prepares to write. And then he gestures one of the goblins back and says, "Oh, you draw." And the goblin number 6 perches on a stool nearby and starts drawing a likeness of Phaedrus. And in fact, all of you, the goblins are questioning you, but while they're doing so, they are drawing a likeness of you on a little card of paper. They start asking you some questions. And we'll go through the hobgoblin, but just assume you're all being asked sort of similar questions.
Mm-hmm.
So he dips it in. He looks at Phaedrus and says, "Name?"
Faithress.
Phaedrus. A-Y or A-E?
A-E.
1 S or 2?
1.
Excellent. House?
None.
Exiled, then.
I prefer leave of absence, but sure.
Exile goes better here. When was the last time you had any association with House Averinder?
Never in my life.
And make a persuasion check or a deception check, and let me know. Yeah, so if you've honestly figured your character's never dealt with them before, then it can be persuasion.
No, Faithress, she probably have, but like.
All right.
Okay, well, it's a 2 plus 9, which is 11.
All right.
Aren't you supposed to be a bard? You're supposed to be
I
the
have
smooth
a plus
talker
9.
here.
I rolled a 2 plus 9.
So an 11 is still pretty good, and on a bugbear, they're passive. Actually, he's probably using active insight. Plus 0.
They're a hobgoblin.
Oh yes, sorry, this is a hobgoblin. That is correct.
My character's going to be screwed over. She's going to be screwed over properly.
Yeah, the score ends up working out the same way. Sort of narrows, looking over his glasses again, and says, Would you care to take another shot at that?"
Fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's hard to keep track of time down here.
Yes. Without the turnings of the sun.
Try not to talk with their kind anymore in recent times.
Fair. And then they're making note of your like height and weight and build and filling this out. They ask your age. They write down your home city, any particular skills.
I'm gonna pull out my sitter
Yep.
and just ta-da.
Musician. It's sort of one of these, like, if I remember correctly, like a guitar-like instrument.
Yep.
You know, like a lyre or
It looks like
lute.
a mandolin, or like with the big round sort of big bottom and the long neck, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. All right, and keeps making notes, and they're duplicating the information between the ledger and this piece of paper. That they're duplicating everything. They ask your home city, all of that. And, you know, anytime if you ask a question, they just like stare at you and refuse to answer and then just continue writing. And then once you're registered, Faithress, I need you to make a persuasion check.
Okay. Fine. Where's persuasion? Oh, 16.
16. Okay, perfect. So he's like, you are the first Drow granted access in some time. I have a good feeling about you.
I am honored.
And then they like take a stamp and like rubber stamp each of the pieces of paper and hand it back to you. This is your identification for Azrok's hold. Please keep this on you at all times. While you are here, you may be randomly asked for your identification. Failure to produce it or comply is subject to punishment.
Is it like a building pass? You have to stick it to your armor, but 5 minutes later it doesn't stick anymore?
No, it is just a piece of paper, so you can like fold it up and tuck it in a pouch. All right. And he gestures at the bugbear who brought you in and says, please, you may take them to Azrok now to pay tribute.
I'm going to wait for everyone else. I'm going to join with everyone.
As an immigrant, I can tell you this was actually more pleasant than actual immigration here.
I know.
Thanks
Even
for the
visiting the
passport.
U.S. Yeah. You now have a visa for Azrok's hold.
So are we going through all of us like this, or we're clear?
Well, so now they're going to take you to Azrok directly.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all cleared.
Yeah. So
Stay in the middle still.
yeah. So the bugbear who brought you in leads you through sort of some twisting streets. You see buildings that have banners with this bloody handprint on it, which is presumably the Legion's logo. You see people doing business. There's lots of goblins running around of various ages. Some of them are obvious non-combatants. There's children and things like that. There's some commerce going on. And then you are taken to a building that has 2 hobgoblins standing guard outside. And it looks like it was once a smithy. And the hobgoblins ask to see your papers. Even though you have the bugbear escort, they still ask to see your papers. Papers, please.
Multi-pass.
I absentmindedly show the paperwork as I'm inspecting the different, trying to gawk at the smithy and what's left of it.
It is 100% a dwarven smithy.
Nice. Good workshop.
Yes.
And the hobgoblins like look at Faithress and look at her identification and look at Faithress and look at her identification and look at the bugbear, and the bugbear nods and they nod back and the bugbear nods and they look and they hand you back.
It's the one who drew her rolled a 2.
It's like when you're at the D&D and you're not ready for the flash and you're just like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then the hobgoblins push open the doors, and you are escorted into the makeshift throne room of Azrok, the hobgoblin warlord, who is seated on a throne of bleached skulls in the northeast corner of the room. He has one foot resting up on top of an iron anvil and one hand on the pommel of a greatsword that is leaning against the throne beside him. He's wearing a helm that covers most of his face and darkens his eyes. You actually can't really see his eyes or face with the mask of the helm down. And then whispering in his ear is a formidable-looking hobgoblin woman who's leaning over and whispering into his ear as you approach. There's 2 bugbears, 4 hobgoblins, and 6 goblins all in the room, and basically attending to him. The hobgoblin one of the goblins comes up with like a tray with some goblets on it, and like the hobgoblin woman takes one and then presses it into the hand of the warlord, and then takes one herself. And
there's the chief, there's 2 bugbears.
4 hobgoblins, 6 goblins, and the hobgoblin woman, who is also clearly a warrior. She has chainmail, sword belted on. She is clearly like a high-ranking hobgoblin warrior.
Okay.
And
2, 4, 6, 1 plus a chief. All right, roll initiative.
And there, and in the southwest corner are actually 2 wargs that are laying down, gnawing on bones.
Okay. What's the name of the hobgoblin chief again?
Azrok.
Azrok.
And so
Okay.
as you approach, Azrok sort of says out in a deep voice, "Approach, penitents, those who seek my audience. What do you bring me in tribute for my help here?"
These 2 droids. I'm sorry, I just can't help myself. Well, we have a Drow.
Possibly assistance, my lord.
Yes. We have come upon information that you have lost a very precious, very near and dear to your heart dagger that you have not found yet.
And when you say that, the woman bellows out and says, "Clear the room. Stop talking." And you see all of the goblins and hobgoblins and bugbears instantly stop what they were doing and leave the room, and the doors close behind them.
Was it something I said?
going to venture a guess and say yes.
Well, the odds are better.
Tell me, what did you hear? From whom? When? What do you know? And do you not know the meaning of the word discretion?
Well, discretion wasn't made explicitly clear. There were these strange women that provided us with a piece of information where your trinket could be found.
And Azrok leans forward and sort of lets his greatsword sort of rest against the throne and sort of just braces his arms on his knees as he leans forward. And the pendant that he's wearing that was sort of tucked in to his tabard sort of falls out. And you can see that looped on the string is a severed human finger with a platinum signet ring still attached to it, that is just hanging there. And he says, "So, you thought it was a good idea to walk into the throne room of a hobgoblin warlord, openly speaking about loss that would make him appear weak before his court and followers."
It wasn't a loss. It was a dirty thieving stunt by your, let's call them neighbors.
Forgive me. Oh, great.
What color are hobgoblins?
Usually like a bluish color, often with a red nose.
Okay, so forgive me, oh great blue one. But we are merely offering assistance. We in no way mean any disrespect.
Make a persuasion check.
Eek. I should not be the one talking. 18. And that's flat because I have no modifier whatsoever. So,
He relaxes a little bit and just goes, yes.
as you can see, I am not from these lands. So
No, you are undisciplined rabble. But undisciplined rabble that could be of use to me. Yes?
Warlord, we only wish to help you and provide the best for you in this war.
And his head sort of swivels towards you as you talk, and he says, and the woman leans again and whispers in his ear, and he says, "And one of my enemies?"
An enemy
Or-
of my enemy is my friend. I have no allegiance to House of, I don't know how to say it.
Averinder, I believe.
Averinder. Phaedric, that's a player mistake. She knows.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you go ahead and you also roll me a persuasion check?
Okay, is it persuasion or deception? Because I did mention I totally had dealings with House Averinder earlier.
Yeah, but you're saying that you don't have any allegiance to them, so that's
Which is true.
yep.
That's 6 plus persuasion. That's 12.
Okay, all right. So he just nods and says, "Stranger things have happened. Well, if you can indeed return this dagger and do so discreetly."
Discretion is my specialty, blue one.
About the discussion, we'd like to win, or bring you back your dagger, but we're frankly a little outnumbered. Is there a way we could work together, maybe generate a distraction so we can get in easier?
Yes, and I can perhaps do one better and send some aid with you.
Now that would be delightful. What do you have in mind?
I could perhaps spare at least a few goblins, perhaps some bugbears, to accompany you.
Is Daryl available?
Daryl.
I don't want some lumbering oaf joining the group, you know?
Yeah.
There's only one of them that managed to impress me, so.
They're not going to be any louder than me.
Yes, I believe that Daryl is indeed available. He is our stealthiest bugbear.
So I have not heard.
Indeed. Well, and what do you seek? What brings you here in the first place?
Well, that's a long
Oh.
story.
I think Kel's talking, but I think Kel's muted. Sorry about that.
Actually, I could hear. No, now he's muted. He was actually talking before.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I might have been confused and thought Andy was talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. All we wish is to return to the surface, but as you are here, and this came to our attention, we felt that these are your territories. So to pay for passage, we will help you. We will get this device back for you, and in return, hopefully, you will be willing to let us pass through peacefully and with no contest.
Well,
help us find an exit.
yes. Most of the main entranceways have been sealed by the Black Cloak, but if you return with my dagger, then this, and he sort of pulls out from another chain a key. I have another way to unlock the way to the second level, and I can allow you to pass.
Sounds like a fair trade to me.
Okay.
Would be most gracious of you, Your Honor.
Excellent. And of course, anything you manage to pilfer from the vile Drow's temple is yours to keep.
Very gracious of you.
And I'm sure we can reward you with further compensation. Again, if this matter is handled discreetly.
It's only fair. He shouldn't pay us if we can't get the job done.
And perhaps Daryl or another who you trust can be waiting at your walls while we are gone, so that when we do return, we can signal them so that they know to help us return the item to you without others discovering it.
Indeed. That sounds like an excellent plan.
Good. Shall we go? Let's kill something.
He sort of looks all of you over and says, "Are you sure you would not like to perhaps rest a bit?"
A brief rest might be in order. We encountered a few problems on the way in.
Let's rest.
We can provide you with some food. I assume that you can tolerate Hobgoblin army rations.
Army rations, just like home.
Sounds like fun.
Double-baked biscuit and all the salted meat you could want.
No fish.
Sure.
No fish.
I'm not eating anything that came out of that river anyway.
That would be fair. All right. So he then calls back in sort of one of the goblin attendants and instructs him to lead you to a hospice area.
Okay.
And takes you through, and you are indeed given all of the, like, basically ship's biscuits, like double-baked bread and salted pork. Well, actually, it's probably not pork. You probably don't want to question too closely exactly where the meat came from in the Underdark. But salted meat, there is nary a vegetable to be seen, and there is, like, watered wine, essentially, to drink.
Tastes like chicken. Okay. I'm good with just like eating and resting.
Yep.
So we can leave bright and early, unless somebody has something they want to do before we go.
I just want to know if anyone's giving me like any like weird looks, any like I want to kill you looks.
Like everyone, all the time.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much everyone you walk by is like, glaring at you, and in the distance, like sort of to the southeast, you occasionally hear the sounds of what you assume is across some sort of like no man's land, like hobgoblin or like other goblinoid voices and drow like yelling at one another, and then there's the occasional like crossbow bolt gets fired, and sometimes you hear someone yelp in pain when they get hit. So it appears that there's like some intermittent like conflict happening.
Can I understand what the drow are yelling?
Absolutely. They're yelling all kinds of filthy things about the hobgoblin's parentage.
It's not PG-13.
It's not PG-13 at all. Yeah. It'd be when the subtitles come up, there'd be a lot of asterisks and dollar signs and things like that in it. Yeah.
Kind of like cringe and then just kind of keep picking at my food.
Yeah. And yeah, people are definitely sort of glaring at you, but you weren't killed on sight, so you got in here somehow. And you had an audience with Azrok, so people are...
Yeah, they could have totally gone worse.
Yes, they could have.
All right, so are you guys taking just a short rest or a long rest?
How long? I mean, I don't know what time of day it is. There's not like any...
Yeah, I mean...
thing. So I don't know how long we've been up either, so that's probably the best question. How long have we been up?
You've been up and active for, at least 5 or 6 hours walking around. Between, like, getting from Skullport to this, like, sort of level in the first place, probably took you an hour or two through, like, a lot of tunnels. And then the time you've spent, like, wandering along the river and searching and dealing with people has been probably at least another 4 hours. So you've spent, like, a good solid day. Like, the solid work day, right?
Work day. Let's just take a long rest and call it a day,
Yeah.
There's no pressure anyways. It's not like we're chasing something against time. So let's take a long rest and make it easy.
I'm of the same mind.
And we can leave bright and early, whatever that means in the Underdark.
Yeah, the hobgoblins seem pretty regimented, and so you've noticed artificial light, and they seem to be like turning it down as it gets later, and you see people like leaving their sort of businesses and return, or not businesses, but what they're working on, and sort of going back into sort of like barracks and like buildings that are clearly being occupied as houses and homes. So the fortress or the Legion encampment seems to be winding down for the evening itself.
Okay.
All right. So yes, go ahead and take a long rest. You can refresh everything on your sheets.
Woohoo!
I'm just gonna say, well, Faith just kind of tries to sleep with one eye open. She does not trust him.
Well, we already have someone that does that, right? So
Kel will
I'm gonna
stay up
sleep
and
like a kitten.
watch everyone,
So.
just to make sure they don't get disturbed.
Look, Faith was also gonna go against the group and be like, no, we should leave now, but she was definitely like, I don't want to be here any longer. But if everyone else wants to sleep, I can't say no.
I'm going to sleep like a baby, confident that my hammer will wake me up if anything important happens.
Excellent.
I'm gonna sleep like a kitten, period.
Sprawled out.
All those empty spell slots. So wow.
You sleep like this
Okay. I want to kill something.
Ah,
All right. So in the morning, you were met by 2 bugbears, including Daryl and his other brother Daryl. And there are 5 goblins altogether as well that are going to accompany you.
With all this, wow.
Yeah. And you're sort of led again along some northern paths to sort of flank out and around the Drow part of town and to lead you to what they believe is the best place to sort of make a directed, insertion to go after the High Priestess's chambers without having to like go through all of the Drow part of town and fight your way through everybody. So they take you back around. You actually feel at this point you're on the other side of the river, but you're closer to where you entered this level than you had been. You sort of circled around the whole place to get to this location.
Okay.
And so they lead you there. And
so we're basically this big like walking party that's like so not like stealthy at all.
Well, the bugbears are quite stealthy, and the goblins aren't terribly bad either themselves.
I'm
It's just
probably
soup.
the least stealthy thing involved.
Yeah.
So the dwarf is still the worst one.
Oh yeah, everyone is still way quieter than the dwarf. Yeah. But they're sort of leading you to this, little bit more abandoned area, up around the complex, and here, yeah, around there. And you can hear drow voices in the distance. You've occasionally seen some drow patrols, but you've actually successfully sort of avoided them to get to this area. And that will be a good place to end. And so next week, we will we will assault the drow and see if you can't recover a dagger. All right. So that is where we will end for the evening. All right, so
ready to roll initiative or something. Getting so like antsy.
I
Whoop! I dropped my dice.
I think next week will feature plenty of initiative rolling.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All the combat.
Yeah. You had a couple places where things could have gone one way or the other tonight, but most of them you sort of talked your way through. So or created distractions and made your way through.
Well, you were lucky that what was it? The witches didn't have any pouches.
Yeah, stealing from the witches wouldn't probably have not been a great idea.
Be nice to witches. Be nice to the witches.
If you know what's good
Would
for
have
you.
made for great TV, So
It would. All right, so we'll go through our usual sign off. So I am once again Dan at MadSciDM on Twitter. You can find me here on Variant Roles, and this was our first episode of Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We will be back Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern as Sean will be leading, opening his group with Dungeon Level 8. And Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern, Kyle, Technoscald on Twitter, will be starting Dungeon Level 16. So we will be airing 3 days a week, multiple dungeon levels ongoing over the next 17 weeks as we explore the first 21 levels of Dungeon of the Mad Mage with a large group of players and DMs responsible all for little individual bits. We may have some other games related to Dungeon of the Mad Mage or some of our dungeon levels occasionally scheduled other nights of the week just to fit things in and do some side stories. So stay tuned for any of those announcements. Otherwise, Saturday evenings, you can come back and join me at 9 p.m. Eastern. Yep, sorry, my cat keeps headbutting my hand. 9 p.m. Eastern, most weeks for our games of Invisible Sun. So a Monty Cook Games game of surreal fantasy. We started that this Saturday, and it was a ton of fun, so definitely come on back. And I think that is it for announcements for here. So we'll go around. Everyone can remind us where they can find you. If you have any other endeavors happening online you want to promote, please feel free to do so. Your Twitter, Twitch, all that sort of stuff. And we will ask each of you your favorite moment from the session. So let's start with Sam.
It was fun. It was kind of crazy, but really fun, and I liked getting to interact with all the different scenes, and everybody seemed to get a chance to do stuff, and it was really kind of cool. I am just on Twitter This is my first stream, so I haven't really done anything else yet. You can find me at Goram Wolf on Twitter, and here again next week.
Excellent, excellent. I am looking forward to it. And definitely everyone should go follow your Twitter. Everyone should go follow everyone's Twitter because we're all cool people. All right. Andy, how about you?
This was a lot of fun. I seem to have a thing in my adventures. I like rescuing goblins, so starting off that way was awful nice. I do on Twitter a fair amount at Anthony Tift. Have a website, wyvernswing.com, and just getting my own Twitch channel here, Wyvernswing also up and running. And the last thing I do Wednesday nights over on Welcome Party RPG, I am in Welcome Dakota set. That's 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern time.
Excellent, excellent. And your favorite? Oh yeah, your favorite moment was the goblin. Yes, that's becoming a recurring thing in my games as well. Is pathetic goblins that people adopt. Happened in Dragon Heist. Yeah, happened in Dragon Heist. Had to happen in this game. Absolutely. Nick.
Sure. Let's see. Favorite moment. I don't know. We faced 3 enemies and I got 3 killing blows. So that was cool. At least lived up to the reputation of rogues. That was fun, especially given that this is my first rogue. So you can follow me on Twitter at ActiveNick. I talk about tech, game development, 3D printing, and a lot of D&D and tabletop RPGs. I have a side project that I also moonlight when I'm not playing D&D. I'm also building a video game RPG called Chrono Weaver. So it's actually linked from my Twitter handle, but there's another account you can follow on Twitter called Chrono Weaver RPG. And it's a turn-based, single-player, tactical, grid-based movement, roguelike RPG. And it's basically a love letter to people like me that have grown up with RPGs and now have busy schedules and can't play online and just want to be able to save and play but still want depth. So if you've loved games like The Bard's Tale, Elder Scrolls Arena, or I Have to Be Older, this is a game for you.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
And it's not going to come out anytime soon anyways. So it's very early advertising about it.
Excellent, excellent. And Mackenzie.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie, and I'm going to say my favorite moment was me sliding down in my chair.
That was an excellent hiding improv.
And you can find me on Twitter at Mackenzie Lane DA. You can also find me on a podcast that I just launched last week. So me and my partner are doing a D&D duet campaign over at One-on-One, a D&D duet campaign podcast. You can find us on Twitter at OneOnOneDND. And you can also check out our website, oneononednd.com. Episode 3 releases tomorrow, so there isn't a lot for you to catch up on should you want to join us on our adventure. There is a lot of coconut talk, and now there's blueberries involved too. There's also plot. I promise there's plot. And there's cosmic forces, but really, I mean, it's coconuts. That's what the running joke.
You had me at coconuts and blueberries. I was very intrigued, and I'm like, I'm going to have to check this out now.
Blueberries come and play episode tomorrow. Coconuts were in the 2 episodes last week. My character spends an entire minute trying to insight check a coconut.
Excellent, excellent. This reminds me of the Critical Role. Sometimes a chair is just a chair.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it.
Excellent, excellent. I'll have to add it into my rotation that is constantly growing of RPG-related podcasts that I listen to all day. Excellent. That's great. Yes, so thanks everybody for joining, and definitely tune in next week and tune in the rest of the week for the other dungeon levels as they get started with a whole bunch of other people. And yeah, everyone's going to be a little different as we all have our own styles. So thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
And thank you, Dan. This was fun.
You're welcome.